We're in front of the United Nations in a demonstration organized by the Tibetan Youth Congress of New York and New Jersey to speak up for the people inside Tibet who are silenced by de facto martial law imposed by the Chinese government in blatant violation of their sworn agreements to the International Olympic Committee.
Tell us about your Olympic sponsor, boycott sponsor.
Given the crisis, the humanitarian crisis that has erupted in Tibet in the last month, we have launched a direct appeal to the corporate sponsors of the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games. That is Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Nike, Adidas, Samsung, Volkswagen, Levenco, and Billiton, among many who've spent millions upon millions of dollars to promote the Olympic Games. We're making a direct appeal to them to pressure the Chinese government to instantly lift martial law in Tibet, cease and desist from torture and all inhumane treatment of the Tibetan people, to allow the United Nations full access to Tibet, and to open Tibet to tourists and journalists. These, again, are sworn agreements that the People's Republic of China gave to the International Olympic Committee. The Chinese government is also violating its sworn agreements on genocide, human rights, and treatments of minorities, covenants it has signed with the United Nations. That is one reason we've convened in front of the United Nations here today.
Why is this a unique time in history? What's so special about this moment and the movement?
This is a make or break moment for the Tibetan people. For 6 decades they have labored under the lash, the whip, and the jackboot since 1951, when Chairman Mao brought his tanks into Tibet. Tibetan culture is very much in danger of extinction. The Tibetans are third-class citizens in their ancestral land. If not now, never. Also, by hosting the Olympic Games, China wants to show that it is a player on the world stage, that it's worthy of being host to the most important international gathering that happens every 2 years. And unfortunately, China has shown the true face of its police state to the world with its treatment of the Tibetan people, who are helpless against the mighty People's Liberation Army. So we're here to speak for them, to the victims of military aggression, and to those who've lost their lives in the last month at the hands of the People's Liberation Army.
Why is it so incredibly important that this remains nonviolent? Doesn't escalate into violence?
For 2 reasons. One is, the reason it is so important that this is a nonviolent movement, this has always been a nonviolent movement, it's always been a people's movement, is because His Holiness Dalai Lama says that Mahatma Gandhi is his political guru. And if Mahatma Gandhi could get the British Empire out of India with nonviolence, then he has proven that nonviolence can work against an enormous government, an enormous state, and an enormous army. The Tibetans do not have an army. Tibet supporters do not have an army. And nothing was ever accomplished with violence. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, "I object to violence because while the good it does is temporary, the evil it leaves is permanent."
Can you talk about how this issue is relevant? It's a metaphor for so many other things going on in the world right now.
Well, we've entered a very frightening new age of militarism all over the planet. Just the fact that there have been 5,000 armed guards protecting a torch, the Olympic torch, in Paris, in London, in San Francisco, and Buenos Aires, shows the degree of militarization and state control of what should be civilian activities. So the only recourse that the people of the world have, since they are not part of an army, is nonviolence. And as Mahatma Gandhi has proven, as Nelson Mandela has proven, as Martin Luther King has proven, nonviolence can work when all the people of the world stand up together as one.
What is China saying is going on right now? What's their line? How do they maintain their status quo?
What I find fascinating about the Chinese reaction to the international fury that has effectively drowned the Olympic torch is that they are reverting to the same language of the Cultural Revolution, of the Great Leap Forward, of hardcore Maoism, which is Tibet is an internal affair of China, that all of the unrest in Tibet is fomented by the evil splittist, the Dalai Lama. Those of us who've followed the Tibet movement for many, many years understand they always use this language when discussing Tibet. And this unfortunately contradicts with the sophisticated face of business that China has shown to the world Unfortunately, 2.5 decades of Coca-Cola have not engendered democracy in China, as their brutal treatment of the Tibetan people in the last month has proven.
Is there some reason that the Tibetan movement has captured the public imagination right now? Like, is there something magic and special about it because it's going this way?
Well, in the last 20 years since there were demonstrations in Tibet, which were instantly suppressed by Chinese security forces, the Dalai Lama has won the Nobel Peace Prize and is perhaps the most famous symbol of Buddhism and nonviolence in the world today. He travels all over the world. He's traveled on all 6 continents. He's in America right now as we're gathered here today. Everybody knows who he is and knows what he stands for. So he has galvanized world support. And the conduct of the People's Republic of China, murdering children as young as 10, 11, 12 years old, as these photographs will show, has outraged the conscience of mankind.
How is what's happening today linked to what's going on around the world in the movement?
Well, the torch relay is heading towards Asia now after a very brief run in Buenos Aires. Soon it will be in New Delhi, in Indonesia, and in Japan. And China so far has not backed down from insisting that the torch go through Tibet. Should the Olympic torch go through Tibet as planned in June, there will certainly be bloodshed. China will truly bring the lash, the whip, and the jackboot down for all the world to see. If there is not a full boycott of the sponsors, the products and services of the sponsors of the Olympic Games and of the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games, which is the political nationalist dimension of the Olympic Games, well, this means police states are going to win and democracy is going to be further crushed in the years and decades ahead. This is a terrifying prospect for all people, not just the people of Tibet.
So Maura, can you walk along here and point to this group and tell us how it is you feel this is going to grow and what's happening around the world?
Well, absolutely, this is going to grow. I find personally this is an extraordinary moment. We've waited many, many years for this moment. We've waited many years for this kind of support to be mobilized. But when China says that we've politicized the torch run, I've got to say, no, China, you politicized the torch run by slaughtering men and women and children inside Tibet. You started it, not us.